And welcome to another episode of Wisdom to Win. It's your girl, me, Ray J, your host. Hello, darlings. I want you to know today I have a friend. Oh my gosh. I met this young lady, Jennifer Reyes. I'm telling you, she came into a webinar and totally captured my entire soul. Okay. And I just had to have her on Wisdom to Win today. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Jennifer Reyes is a supernatural sales strategist who helps coaches and service based business owners align their faith, their life, and their business to take their next Holy Spirit led move. I had to make sure I said that slowly so you could catch it. From connecting you with the right people and resources to unlocking key business skills or finding clarity and direction. Jennifer makes building a successful business fun and simple. And I think that that's what's missing is that it's not fun and simple. We feel drudgery when we're launching a business. But you don't have to feel that way because Jennifer will help you to work from rest, not stress, and with strategies personalized just for you. With years of ministry and sales experience, she's passionate about helping you create impact, not just what you do, but in who you are. So let me present to some and introduce to others Jennifer Reyes.
Thank you so much, Ray J. Oh my goodness. I just so appreciate you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, I'm so glad that you could be here. We had to do a little scheduling, juggling, but that's what happens when you're such a busy person. And it's not just busy work, but you are really pouring into a lot of people. And you've got some events coming up. You've got this whole new program. Before we get into all of that, why don't you start with just sharing a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how did you get here to serving in a spirit led way.
Yeah. So I'm Jennifer Reyes. I'm from Chicago, but sometimes I pretend that I'm from somewhere warm like Florida and I crank up the heat and turn on all the lights. But I'm here with my husband, my two doggies, Mr. Snuggles and Cha Cha, who we adopted a couple
Oh,
years ago. They are just such a blessing. And yeah, I really have a heart to serve coaches and service based business owners and to help them in their heart centered sales. And sales can stir up some things for people, right?
mhm.
Not only from the selling side, but also from the receiving side. And really, sales is about being of service to others, but also receiving. And so we get to the root of some of those things, but we make selling simple and fun without hustling.
Wow, you said a lot. You said a lot. So, what made you want to be a servant leader, serving from the heart? What exactly does that look like in comparison or contrast to the typical way people are serving in business?
Yeah, I don't think I set out to do that. I didn't even know that I would be in this industry, but there I was selling copiers right out of college for 6 years. And while I enjoyed the President's Club trips, the traveling internationally that I won, it was more about the relationships. And I
Mhm.
was kind of self-taught at that time, but you're also getting influenced by some other techniques and practices, but they weren't quite aligning except on the relationship side. I am such a connector, I am a relationship builder. And so that stuck with me. But as I moved forward in my career and moved on to other, professions and things like that, I kept coming back to sales. And one of my mentors was like, Jennifer, sales is in your DNA. I'm like, no, I don't want it to be. But that's because I had a distorted view in my mind of what I thought it was.
Mhm.
And so when I really started doing business with God, not for God, not out of my own strength, but with God, wow, God just revealed so many things about this. And it's just so beautiful. And if we don't have sales coming in, do we really have a business? We might have maybe more of a hobby, but do we really have a profitable business? And so I really have a heart to serve those and that to help them understand what sales is really about.
I'm so glad that you said that is you have to have a heart for it. And there are many women divorced that are over the age of 50. And they are now trying to navigate these new chapters in their life. And a lot of them are wanting to take maybe something that was a hobby, that was just, you maybe even a little side hustle for, I don't know, purse money or something like that. And now they're having to incorporate more income because they've lost an income going through divorce. There are so many changes. And to realign with their goals and to recapture confidence in who they are now, how is it that you can help someone that may be in that position working with you?
Yeah, confidence is a big word. Whether I've worked with people in the past that had literally one person told me they had 42 cents left in their bank account.
Oh,
The
wow.
other ones are multi seven figures, but they still both still had this confidence thing that was missing. And so this what I like people to step into is what I call unshakable confidence, which really has nothing to do with you or me, right? But it really comes walking hand in hand with God because He has a unique blueprint for you in your business. It's not about following my formula or my blueprint. No, I'll give you a framework.
Hmm.
We want to know how you're wired, how you are designed to show up, what serves you best, and what is your unique brilliance, what is your zone of genius. A lot of people overlook that and they think, oh well, nobody's going to pay me for that, that just flows too easily for me, but it might not be for the other person, right?
Hmm.
So it's so important to take a step back, really get to the foundation, right? And then we build from there.
Do you address women that may have certain triggers that, they've been told before? Perhaps this isn't the first time that they wanted to launch something, in an area of entrepreneurship. They've always had that bug, but they've been in the corporate area. They've been used to the 9 to 5, being a W-2 wage earner. But now they're really pressing for this, and people are saying certain things that bring up triggers for them where it gets them to doubt that they can do it or even gaslight them.
Yeah.
How do you deal with individuals, especially women of a certain age, that may feel that after all these years they don't really identify with anything but those triggers?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can relate to having those buttons and those being pushed to, or dealing with narcissistic abuse, being gaslit, all of those types of things. So my heart really goes out to them in regards to that. However, I would also say that those buttons began to like disappear. I received healing, right? And I really allowed myself to have the work be done for me as well, in me, through me, all around me. But I also had to do my part,
Hmm.
right? And it's similar to what I call supernatural sales, which we'll talk more about in just a moment. But it's being done for you, with you, through you, and all around you. But I have to do my part in the natural. God brings his part in the supernatural, right? And he does the super to the natural. And also, there are resources. So I do collab with other resources, other people out there. One being the Trauma Informed Ministry. You can connect with Sharon Wegman of the traumainformedministry.com. She's got a great curriculum to help you go through these things if you're serving others in your business or in ministry, to be
Hmm.
aware of what can trigger people, but also for yourself. It's really important for that too, right? And so this isn't something that's one and done. This is something that I constantly plug into to be reminded of. And while maybe it doesn't happen as often now, right, there are some things that can still come up to the surface, especially as we go, deeper into our business or other layers, we begin to build off of that. There are things that can surface, especially in sales and marketing and messaging, but it doesn't have to be where we take, weeks and weeks, months and months, years and years for things, or that repetitive cycle over and over and over again. No, If you are willing and you want that to be, broken, that repetitive cycle, then there is a way. And we approach it not just from prayer, although that is extremely important, but
Yeah.
there's also the practical too. There is the science, there is the neurological and all the other things that can happen that can come up for people too. So we want to take a look at the whole person, right? And while I might not be the specialist in all of that, there are some things where we can work on, and then other times I'll point them to other resources.
And you know what I love about that is that you called yourself the great connector. And I think that any business owner should, that you can't be everything to everyone, but to have those resources, to have the opportunity to form relationships with other services, that's a holistic framework as well to either service others or to even be a service to yourself because sometimes the teacher becomes the student and the student becomes the teacher. And I think that you can learn from others and then say, you know what, I have someone to send to you. And that's the best part about being a servant leader is that it is about your service, even if you're not the person delivering the service directly, but you have these other outside resources available, and it is an opportunity to connect with others and network with others. And I love the fact that you have God in the center of everything. Like that's the center, and everything else is going out and coming in through that way. You have an interesting logo that I wanted to ask you about. It's a dragonfly. What is the significance of the dragonfly for your logo?
Isn't it interesting what God will do with things and just transform something that I was afraid of as a little girl into something so magnificent and beautiful?
Really?
Yeah. Well, I back in 2011, it was Labor Day, and I had a really dark and sinister near-death experience. I share
Mm,
more about that on my website. You can read more about that. I'm an open book about talking about things. But a few days after that, like 3 days after that, um, man, everything in my life was falling apart, Ray J. Um, my tenants weren't paying, my job wasn't paying what they promised. I was in a really awful, toxic living situation. My dogs weren't even safe there. And so, this woman that I barely even knew, she offered to take care of my three dogs at that time on her
wow.
beautiful property retreat. Center for dogs. And I didn't know how I would even pay her, but she's like, don't worry about that. And so when I went to go visit my dogs, I just said, like, hey, something really awful happened. I don't know how to explain this,
Mhm.
but I just opened up to her and I shared with her. And she also shared with me because I had all these doubts, all these questions about God, the whole thing, right? And she was really well versed, and my heart recognized, my spirit recognized what she was sharing, God's word and the living word, which is Jesus Christ. And in that moment, I was surrounded by a swarm of like 50 dragonflies, and she was like, Jennifer, I've never seen anything like this on my property.
Really? 50?
Wow. And I had asked God to show me, give me a sign, like as we're pre-believers, we don't really know, and I'm just
Right.
like, give me a sign so I know this is you, because I don't know what to believe. I was in this book, that book, I was all over the place, and I was seeking, I was searching, but my perception of what a relationship with God was so distorted over the years through religion, right? And through just manipulation and all kinds of things. And
Hmm.
it was so beautiful. And I was like, wow, God's speaking to me through this. And yes, as I grew my relationship with him, he started to speak to me in other ways, right? And when I say speak, it's not necessarily an audible thing, right? Although it could be, through taste, through smell, through all these different senses, right?
Dreams, just
Through
a
dreams,
feeling,
yes.
a vibration. Yeah.
So many things. And obviously, yes, as I dove in deeper into scripture and things like that, but there were so many different ways. And so in my first year being born again, I kept seeing dragonflies, whether they were on an image or something like that. And so I like to encourage your ladies here, like, what is your version of a dragonfly? How are you in relationship with God? How is he speaking to your heart? And I'm going to tell you this, Ray J. Some people would just say, well, maybe that's coincidence. But let me tell you, at my 1 year anniversary, I walk outside and there's a swarm of dragonflies. My 1 year anniversary of accepting
Um,
Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And then 4 years later, to the date, again, a swarm of dragonflies. And so, yeah, God just is so amazing. And yes, he speaks to me through other things too, even like hummingbirds now and other things that I find
oh,
beautiful that is
yes.
between him and I, but like it is so possible. Not It's not just for me, right? It's
Mhm.
not just for you to radiate. It's for anybody that is really wanting to have a relationship with Jesus. And so, yeah, that's how the dragonfly came out to be. It is in the letter of a J, but that's not for Jennifer. It is for Jesus.
Just happens to be in the letter of a J.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, it's amazing. I'm always interested in the history of names of businesses or logos or like why did you use that? And it's always so significant. And I just love to hear those stories, and they sometimes do resonate with people that hear about them and go, that's kind of interesting, and makes you think about that. When you said hummingbird, um, there is a family one of my former students married into, and the Braxton family. And shouts out to them. And Tracy Braxton passed away a couple of years ago at this point. But a hummingbird is something that was significant to them for her. And I recall looking out my window, I promise you not just a few minutes, not a few months ago, rather, I should say. And I was like, hmm. And I started thinking about her. I didn't even speak it out. And I said, I wonder what's going on with the family. I'm praying for the family. And a hummingbird appeared.
Wow.
And I was like, Tracy, it's going to be fine. They're doing great, right? This hummingbird literally looked at me and then flew away. And when you said that, like, what is it for you? What's a hummingbird? And when you said that, that just brought those memories flooding back to
Yeah.
me. And it is so important to connect with something that connects you to something higher. And yeah, the God in me knew in that moment that that was exactly what that was about. It gave me a peace. I felt a certain peace wash over me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an awesome story. Thank you so much for that share, because I know that that will resonate with a lot of people, and especially ladies, when you are trying to figure things out and get back into who you are and fall back in love with who you are and come home to who you can be and share things and create things. Jennifer is the person to help you do this. I really wanted her here because I love the way that she presents what it is that she can help you to do in business. And I want to take an opportunity right now to say, if it had not been for my sponsors, I would not be able to do this and bring people like Jennifer to you. So I want to thank my sponsors. I'm going to put the links in the description below this video for My Daily Choice, because there are holistic products there that can really help you to feel better. Also with frequency, I talked about vibration and feeling the vibration. Well, your body, we are so electrically charged and connected to the earth in ways you have no idea. Well, guess what? We've been able to capture those products and give it to you in something that you can consume to align yourself from the inside out. And also, for accountability purposes, if you think you are needing an accountability coach, let's talk. All of those wonderful links are going to be below. Now, getting back to the podcast, let's talk about how can people connect with you, Jennifer, with either talking with you about being a servant leader, maybe getting into their entrepreneurial pursuits. How can we reach out and connect?
Yeah. So it's so interesting that you say this, Ray J, because right now God has me in the midst of launching supernatural sales. And so if you want to get on the wait list for that, The website is not up just yet, but you can go to salesfromtheheart.com. That's salesfromtheheart.com. And that way I have a little gift for you that you can dive in, not only to be on the wait list for this, but also to dive into your story, right? How does your story connect with your audience? And then we can also begin to work on what sales really means, right? And I break that down into an acronym. I think you're really going to enjoy this. I have a teaching that I usually do on this that people really enjoy. And then when Supernatural Sales comes out, you will be the first to know about it. So connect at salesfromtheheart.com. Of course, you can go to my main website, jenniferreyes.com as well. And you can find me on social media on Facebook, on LinkedIn. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 2 million Jennifer Reyeses out there, but you'll find me. That's why I
We're
always
looking for the
capitalize the
dragonfly. That's
last
what we're looking
name like
for.
that. Look for the dragonfly. Yeah. You'll find me on there. Connect with Ray J. We're connected there. You know, she is just so fantastic. And so you can
Oh,
reach out to her if you need to get in touch with me, but also connect with her too for that accountability. She really just has a heart to serve. And again, that's really where it's at. You know, how can we best show up with our gifts? And God places the people before us to serve, right? And He has some waiting too. He's just waiting on you to like get up and go. And if you're
exactly.
not sure which direction to go in, then you can ask. You have resources right here for you.
Exactly. And I have to put a plug in for you for sure because you and I had a conversation about me. And I'm building, as I was building the accountability coaching program, and we talked about positioning and being able to have people to afford and be able to come because we're in business to make money, but we're also in business to serve others. And you said something that resonated so well with me. I got not one, not two, but three confirmations after that that said exactly what you said. And I said, you know what? That's it. She's right. I'm going that direction. I wasn't doubting, but then to be bombarded, those are my dragonflies, my hummingbirds
Mm.
that came in. I just want to publicly thank you so much because you were spot on. You knew right away exactly what to tell me, how to guide me. And I felt better. And you told me that you will feel comfortable. If you're feeling uncomfortable, then you need to reevaluate it. So listen, I want you, my audience, my co-host, to understand that when I tell you that this is the person to help you, please get on that wait list. You try it. That's all you got to do is just give it a try. And
Yeah.
you will find out exactly where it is that you need to be and know that it's God centered and driven. What
Yeah.
else do you want, right? What else
Yeah.
did you
Yeah,
ask
I,
for?
I don't believe that finances should ever prevent somebody from getting started. But
Ex-
also, we're not going to use that word, I can't afford it. That's just some
mhm,
nonsense that we do not need to be putting here in your space because you want your financial situation to change, right? And so I
exactly.
would encourage people to look at it as what is this worth to you? Right? What
Hmm.
is it worth to you? And if it's not worth it, then don't move forward in it. But please, let's eliminate the I can't afford it thing because it
Right.
might be not right now, but God will make a way. And yeah, I've made this accessible to most people. So yeah, I just pray that it blesses you. And thank you, Ray J, again for having me here.
Why I am so glad that you were able to be here. Listen, everyone, I just want you to know I'm going to put all of the contact information for Jennifer in the description below this video. Thank you so much. Those of you that are listening, you can go to all of the places you listen to your podcast and find the information there. I really do appreciate this time with you. And hey, before we let you go, I got two quick questions to ask you. If this podcast was going to be a master class, what would you call this podcast if it was going to be a master class?
Oh my God.
And what's one other little wisdom to win nugget you can leave? I'll give you the last word.
Aw, geez, if this was a podcast, I don't know. I feel like I want to call it something with dragon. What does dragonflies have to do with sales from the heart? You know, selling from the heart. But what is your version of a dragonfly? Would probably be something there. What is your version of showing up in business? Because again, it's not following my blueprint or Ray J's blueprint or my formula, nothing like that. Yes, we have frameworks, but God has a unique blueprint for you of how you show up in your life and with your faith and with your business. And so it's all combined, it's all part of one thing. You can't separate it, right? And so we really want to make sure that your heart is able to really just propel, fly, move in the passions that you are called to share with other people.
Well, we want to thank you so much for that. Hey, everybody, that's going to do it for us for this episode of Wisdom to Win. And I love you to life and on purpose. I'll see you on the next episode of Wisdom to Win. And let's win together. Bye for now.